Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Hollywood After Dark, episode number 3. I'm your host, Matt Jarbo, and tonight we're going to be talking about a whole wide variety of stuff, like Steven Spielberg finally falling in love with Netflix. All of that and more right freaking now. Hey, what's going on, everyone? How you guys doing? Welcome to the podcast. It's been another exceptionally long and hot day here in the great state of Washington. We actually cracked about 100 degrees where I live, and it is hot, and I am sweaty, and I know that probably doesn't do anything for you. Your libido probably isn't throbbing at the sound of me describing hot beads of sweat rolling down the small of my back and going to where the rest of my hair went, apparently. But that's okay, because it still sucks. Anyway, there's a lot to talk about today. There's a lot of fun stuff to kind of break down. It's been a very interesting day in Hollywood. I was really surprised with everything that was kind of going on. You know, I mean, you figure for like the longest time, there really wouldn't be much in regards. Wow. Wow, okay. That is my neighbor or someone on a motorcycle. What are they doing at 11 p.m. in the middle of nowhere? I swear, folks. I'll probably have to find a way to cut that out because that's just really loud and really annoying. But like I was trying to say before I was so rudely interrupted by someone outside of my home. It's been a fun day. There's been a lot going on. Spielberg, the thing with Spielberg is actually a pretty crazy thing because you know what? For so long, he was against it. For so long, he was just not happy with Netflix here. And so unfortunately, fortunately, he's finally kind of seen the light. I know street racing. It wasn't street racing. It was someone just revving their engine, doing it again. Okay. It's probably like a bunch of teenagers or whatever. I live in the woods and I live on a dead end road, and there really shouldn't be much in the way of this kind of noise pollution. But that's definitely something that might end up kind of killing the show tonight. I don't know. Yeah, I'll have to wait and see here. Music Man says, "What the fuck?" Yeah, I know, man. Tell me about it. HWAD's here. $2 says Steven Crowder is a coward. Yeah, we can talk about that for a few minutes. I actually just watched all of that tonight, and it was hysterically funny. That was hysterically funny what happened with Steven Crowder today. I know Lord Slicker says, I know it's not movie related, but did you see what happened with Steven Crowder? Sam Cedar and Ethan Klein trolled him so hard. I know, guys. I know they absolutely did. And the great part about that is they basically got him to admit just how much of the show that they actually watch, how much of it they actually pay attention to. And the thing is, it's a lot. It's absolutely a lot. You know, those guys all pay attention to them. You know, like, all of that stuff goes on. Like in the case of, let's say, a certain person from a certain planet made of popcorn, you have a situation where, like, I know that he monitors a lot of stuff. And I know that a lot of stuff is sent to him by people who monitor. And a lot of spies, a lot of little birdies, kind of whispering in his ear. And I'll tell you guys this, I'm not subbed to any of those channels that I recall being subbed to. And if I find out that I accidentally did, I unsub. And I don't watch their content, right? Because that's the thing. I don't need to fill my brain with their nonsense. So that's unfortunately where we find ourselves. So yeah, Ghost Rider has finally come for Jarbo. Yes, Ghost Rider has finally come. Has finally come to take me out, guys. They found me. They found me, ladies and gentlemen. They finally got me. What can I say here? It's been a fun ride, but it's time for old Jarbo here to kind of go out to pasture. What can I say? No, I don't know what's going to happen here tonight. Anything could happen. I've been swatted before, so that was fun. But that did kind of distract me from what I wanted to talk about. Also, could you guys hear the music in the opening? I was trying to find like a kind of a fun, musical intro to the podcast. And I don't know if you guys could hear it and you guys enjoyed it, let me know. If not, I have no problem cutting it. It was just something I wanted to try for shits and for grins. So let's see here. Let me just kind of find the article I want to touch upon. I won't be on probably longer than an hour tonight, only because it is so hot and I can't run my fan in here. I have the window open, but cars might drive by, as you guys might hear right now. And the whole thing just kind of gets effed up on the sound. So for me, I might just end up not being on for super long tonight. So I do appreciate that. But real quick, before we do dive in, I want to make sure that all of my lovely, amazing channel members get the shout out. I already noticed HBarts is here. We got Javi12, Otis, who's a frequent commenter. Thank you very much on that, Otis. We got my channel, who comments quite often. Aaron Entertainment, who does comment as well. Ash Eternal, The Power Bunny, Mr. Nobot, Daniel Clenert, Gerald Johnson, Garguts, Rel, Nearly Dave, Vince Batchelor, and of course my own father, Dave Jarbo. That's a lot of love right there from people. So if you guys want to get in on that action, link is in the video description. HBart's here, following up the whole situation with Ethan and Steven Crowder. And it's fascinating. It's really fascinating because when you think about it, they played him pretty hard. And that's the funniest thing to me. And I know this isn't meant to be a political thing, and obviously people are going to have difference of opinion and all this kind of stuff. But the reality of it simply is this. When you're put in a situation like that, if you run and throw a hissy fit like Crowder did, it automatically makes you the loser. They were going into this with like a wrestling perspective. So if they're going to try to make you the heel and you don't want to be the heel, then just don't, fight back. If it was all about, debating in the marketplace of ideas, because, I'll have people call in here that disagree with some of my takes. And I'm like, yeah, call on in. Let's debate it out. Let's talk about the issues at hand. When people like Crowder, who's all about like, we have to have this debate, Ethan Klein, because Ethan is an easy win, because Ethan is not a very well-prepared debater. Sam Cedar, on the other hand, has been doing this for a long time, and he knows his stuff. And it's kind of like, it's one of the reasons why people in the Fandom Menace won't debate me. They don't debate me. They don't want anything to do with me. They don't want to talk to me. It's the reason why Andy Signor won't go on and debate our situation or discuss our situation, because he doesn't want to deal with the fact that like I'm going to come in probably really hot and talk about a lot of stuff that he doesn't want to talk about. And the same thing goes with everybody else. And here's the thing. I have the open call-ins. They can call in anytime they want. If they have beef, they never call in, and that's fine. I'm not going to pressure them. I'm not going to like tell you guys to go and harass them, because that wouldn't be cool. But that's the reality of it. The reality of it is when it comes to those kind of debates, and, that's debates of substance in regards to the YouTube community, the YouTube ecosystem, as well as fake news, not so much like a more kind of like ham-fisted, let's debate whether or not The Rock is actually a movie star kind of debate. It's different. It's got some meat to it. And I would love to get into that with these people. I would love to. I would love it if they're ever going to do it. Alvi here says, this is why BTR should come back. Yeah, I was actually working on I was thinking about bringing it back, but not necessarily in the way that I think a lot of people want me to. And the reason why I say that has a lot to do with the fact that it's so hard for me to like, it's just the time and it's preparation, and it's just time. So if I do this from 11 until midnight or 12:30 or 1, when am I going to have time to go over and do Boulder Talk Radio? Am I going to do, this from 11 till midnight and then stop this and go over to Boulder Talk Radio and then do the commentary over there, bring you guys in over there, talk about other things over there? And don't get me wrong, I want to cover other topics. I love covering other topics, but there is that reality of like, how much time do I want to invest? And is it going to be at the end of the day, something that's going to be financially viable for me to do? And unfortunately, when it comes to Boulder Talk, it's not that financially viable. Not only do the videos get demonetized because I swear way too much and I talk about a lot of crazy stuff, but also the channel is still under attack algorithmically. I post anything, and it's just like, we're talking, I might get 20 likes and I get like 130 dislikes. People still come to the channel to attack it. So it's kind of pointless at this point to dive in. Although I did mock up this, this particular thumbnail design the other day. I was playing around with it. I kind of like that just for like having a combo, not going too elaborate with it and everything else. So there's that, but it is what it is on that one. I do miss it. Would love to find a way to bring it back in some capacity, but it's just not anything that's in the cards right now. But I'd like to give a shout out to our newest channel member. Anthony Chabot has now become a YouTube member. Thank you so much for Anthony. I really appreciate that. Everyone like that. Ryan here says, I share your videos on Enosh's Discord. Main, you didn't share the cyborg one, did you? That's not going to make me any friends in that Discord 100%. Because you guys know who were here last night, I had a relatively hot take about Ray Fisher. And I've had a few hot takes about Ray Fisher, and I decided to clip it out today and put it into its own video because I thought that, people I think need to hear this kind of thing. And I also really kind of enjoyed the thumbnail because, look, I did this one right here. Cyborg fans try to guilt Warner's, which is true. They were absolutely trying to guilt Warner Brothers into bringing back Ray Fisher when Ray himself says he won't work with Walter Hamada. And even though he was offered the role, he turned it down. He said he wasn't going to do it. He says he wasn't going to work with the company. He wasn't happy with the results of the investigation. And so at this point, you being mad at the at Sasha Calle for being Supergirl or Ezra Miller for doing this movie, I think is kind of ridiculous. I think it's I think at this point you're kind of showing your hand that you don't actually care about the properties. You just care about trying to score clout points, and you care about trying to get a one-up on a company that you're mad at for not continuing a universe that you really wanted to see completed, which you didn't get it completed, but you did get it continued a little bit in a way that had never been done before. It had never been attempted before. It had never been tried before in regards to going back and literally completing another movie with the same footage that was already shot, but just going back to its original intent. It had never been done before, and it was a good movie. It was a great film. And of course, I would love to see more, but at the same time, that was back in March. It's now almost Jill. It's at the end of June. It's been 3 months. Zach has said multiple times they don't want him. They've said they don't want him. They said he completed his trilogy. They have made it abundantly clear. It is what it is. Getting mad and pushing for something is, look, all it is just postponing disappointment. So my mind has always been modify your expectations. And like I like to say, I don't sell hopium. It's not my job to sell you hopium. If you want hopium, you know what? Go to other people in the fandom, right? Other people in the fandom, they're going to be the ones that are going to be out there selling you the hopium. They're going to be the ones out there that are trying to, tuck you in at night and tell you everything's going to be okay. And I'm like the pissed off drunk uncle that's like, here's the reality of the world and all that jazz. Anyway, let's see here. Rational Skeptic does say here, what AT&T should have done was build a Warner Brothers World theme park with a mini Metro City based off of that the Matrix, the DC campus, and the Harry Potter castle as a hotel. That would have been pretty cool, right? That would have been pretty cool if they would have worked with Universal in order to do it, which is what they should have done. The problem though is that's a lot of content. That's a lot of stuff there. It's a lot of money, and Universal, as far as Skywalker Brian has told me, it has a lot to do with, they haven't even, Epic Universe was supposed to be that big 750 acre park, and that hasn't even moved forward yet. So it's everything got kind of shut the hell down. So I don't quite know. I'm definitely wanting to see more of something like that. I think a theme park would do really well for Warner Brothers content, not whatever the fuck this Space Jam movie is that comes across sounding like it's just weak sauce. But we'll have to wait and see. H Bart's here with another $2, says Podio commentary. I know, dude. I am very behind on that. That is not on purpose at all. I've just been I've been trying to like figure it out and whatever. Figure out how I wanted to approach it and everything else. Because the research takes a lot of time. You know what I mean? The research takes a lot of time, and then you just don't get a lot of views on it, and it kind of just makes you a bit on the, not, I don't want to say like ticked off side or upset. It's not like that. I understand the process of YouTube and how that all works out, but it's like, I kind of feel it just ends up being kind of, I don't want to say weird, but different. And I've got to get myself back into it. When I fell and hurt my back, that kind of took me out. I thought I had time, but I'll tell you what I had fun doing the other day. When I did this real board on the Mummy, you know, a lot of people, I mean, it wasn't watched by a lot of people, but you know, the people who did see it, they enjoyed it. And some guy told me that he actually bought the 4K set. And so I started thinking about, like, you know, just kind of having these videos talking about why I like a movie is definitely interesting. So I started working on stupid. There we go. Okay. So yeah, I think I'm back. I'm almost back. All right. Come on, StreamYard. Quit. There we go. Yep, might cut out. I know, guys. I know I noticed it. Anyway, this is like a thumbnail design I was working on for like LUCA. I want to talk about it. I want to talk about it, like what I like about it. And it's kind of a half review, half just kind of, oh my God, it crapped out again. Man, Jesus. It's been just a day. Everything, like my computer was going all crazy today. Everything was taking its sweet ass time. Nothing was working properly. It was 100 degrees out. So yeah, it's crapping out on me again. Son of a bitch. Is it still crapping out? Just use OBS. Yeah, I know. I like StreamYard. I pay for it. I pay fucking a lot of money for StreamYard. It should work. For the love of God, it should work. Now it just sounds like I'm bitching and everything's, this is not a good episode. I apologize, everybody. So there's that, but all right. Why don't we, let's hope it lasts. Let's hope it lasts. Sometimes it will go 3-4 hours without a glitch. Tonight it's been 3 times in 17 minutes. My God, my goodness. All right, let's take a look here at you know, the Spielberg thing that I wanted to touch upon here. So Spielberg's Amblin Partners, Netflix, forge film deal in sign of changing Hollywood. And my God, ain't that the effing truth, right? So the reason why this is fascinating is because Spielberg signing a new deal with Netflix is massive, because a couple years ago, he was actively campaigning within the Academy, the Oscars, to keep films from Netflix out of the arrangement. They wanted them out. They didn't want them involved. They wanted them all gone. They wanted nothing to do with them. Like, keeping them streaming, like, don't let them infect our movies. And now he signed a deal with Amblin to put his movies onto Netflix. And I just think it's really funny, and I think it's really fascinating. So it says here that Amblin Partners and Netflix have forged a partnership, one that will see the company headed by Steven Spielberg produce multiple new feature films for the streaming service every year. The pact gives Netflix access to one of the most legendary directors in the movie business at a time when the competition in streaming space is growing fiercer with the launch of Disney Plus, HBO Max, and other challengers. And the reality of it is, yes, that's true. And it's not even HBO Max or other challengers, maybe Amazon. It's Disney Plus. Disney Plus is right now, they've got like the growth, and they've got the infrastructure, and they've got the IPs. So it makes a lot of sense that Netflix would want to find a way to tie it into everything with Spielberg and get Amblin, specifically Amblin, I think is a great call. Now the move is surprising and a sign of the major changes taking place in Hollywood, in part because Spielberg has previously been seen as something of a Netflix skeptic. Like I said, back in 2019, he reportedly urged the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences to bar day and date release or streaming releases from being eligible for Oscars. But sources close to the director say that he actually never said that. But he later clarified his position, saying that, he reaffirmed his support of the theatrical experience while stating, "I want people to find their entertainment in any form or fashion that suits them. Big screen, small screen. What really matters to me is a great story, and everyone should have access to great stories." Now, look, he caught a lot of flack for that insider thing coming out about the Oscars. And I believe that he was actually trying to do it just because, look, there's a certain type of, look, I love Spielberg. I respect the guy to hell and back, but he's one of like the Hollywood elite, and I don't use that term lightly or to be, indicative of any kind of like adrenochroming situation going on. What I mean by that is, like, this dude's been around for literally decades, almost 5 decades. He is a massive player in the industry. People love him. The fanboys love him. The moviegoers love him. And he has always been able to, kind of go at the big screen, and that's where he wants to tell these stories. But I believe this is essentially where things are with him right now. And I say this because when's the last time really that Spielberg has had like a massive hit? Like he did Ready Player One, which I loved, but a lot of people out there didn't really care for it. He skipped on doing Indiana Jones 5 and chose to go instead to do West Side Story, which was delayed until Christmas or whatever. And then he's not going back to do Indiana Jones 5, even though there was enough of a delay from COVID to have him come back. And now he's bringing his Amblin properties over to Netflix. And it says down here that the Netflix movies do not have any budgetary or genre requirements attached to them. It is literally just a blank check from Netflix for the most part. They have all the money. They have all this money that's coming in. They have all of these, all of this power, all of this sway, all of this pull. And the question then becomes, is Spielberg having trouble getting money? Because his films have not been oh my God. Did it crap out again? Did it crap out again, guys? Sorry, I wasn't. Is it crapping out? All right. You guys got to tell me if it's crapping out or not. It might. Okay. Sorry, I didn't see that. Nope. Okay, good. I saw the little thing pop up on my end. So if it's Jesus, tonight is not good. I'm not happy with tonight. I'm sorry. Okay. Anyway, to kind of go back to that, it's part of what I think is that people just aren't paying for his movies anymore. I just don't see them necessarily getting a lot of financing, I mean, look, Spielberg will always be able to like get financing, but look, West Side Story is a remake of like a 1960s movie. Like no one's asking for a remake of West Side Story. No one really cares about a remake of West Side Story, like no one really gives much of a shit about it at all. It's like, why do it? Is it one that really influenced Spielberg? Probably. But at the end of the day, it's like, why? It doesn't make any sense to me when there could be more original content that he's pretty good at making. Like Munich is fantastic. Saving Private Ryan is fantastic. Schindler's List, my God, amazing. Minority Report was a good movie there, but the BFG was not a good movie. Tintin was an amazing movie that didn't do as well as it should have done. But then again, looking here at what exactly they have in regards to their particular, here's what we're going to do. Let's take a look at why this Netflix deal is going to be happening. So these are the motion pictures that Amblin Entertainment has put out. You've got Poltergeist, which did have a recent remake, which I thought was okay. You got E.T., Gremlins, The Goonies, Back to the Future, Young Sherlock Holmes. I mean, like The Color Purple, The Money Pit, An American Tail, Harry and the Hendersons, Inner Space, Empire of the Sun, Batteries Not Included, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Now, I mean, that's owned by Disney at this point, but still, it's like there's a lot of movies here they could probably go back in and look to see which ones they have the rights to, right? Which ones that they have the rights to be able to mine. I think Gremlins might be one. I don't know. I mean, look, Jurassic Park. I know that they're probably trying to find a way to do something with that because there is the Jurassic World show that is on Netflix. Spielberg is producing that. There's a lot of things here that they have done and that could find a way to potentially be brought back in, and so I don't know if it will. I don't know if it will happen. I'm just saying they've done a lot of films over the years, over the decades, and a lot of people out there are happy with Amblin and they want to see what Amblin's going to come up with. So we'll have to, we'll definitely have to see where this thing goes. But look, Netflix is in the business right now of mining IPs. Netflix is in the business right now of wanting to get as much as they can that's going to have that nostalgic impact because Disney has the IPs for nostalgia. HBO Max has a lot of IPs that have nostalgia attached to them. Amazon, Lord of the Rings, they're doing all those book adaptations. So Netflix is going to need something that's going to really be able to pull in a lot of the nostalgia people. And I think that's going to be, obviously, I think that's going to be a fair amount of what is going to be coming out of this. So I don't know. We're have to, again, I don't know for certain. I just know that this is what's happening. And this is a really big change, all things considered. And I'm really interested to see what happens next, because to me, this is definitely pretty fascinating. And here's another interesting little thing that popped up from discussing film. And this was again, discussing film just kind of does a great job on covering all this stuff. But what they talked about here is that research has popped up now to suggest that consumers lose interest in Netflix films faster than those made by major studios. And that is a very interesting take, because looking at some of the data here, you can see that the percentage of films that have maintained significant public interest for more than 5 months, Disney is dominating, because they've got the fantastic animation department, which, is super good. You've got Warner Brothers, again, also Marvel and Star Wars and all their other IPs. Warner Brothers, is 20, not even that. It's like, what you look at that, it's like 17-18%. Paramount's underneath that, then Fox, Sony, Universal, and then Netflix is here at the very bottom of it, blah, 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 blah. But the thing is, they're actually probably not wrong. So I did mention this on Twitter earlier today, and I think a big part of it has to do with the fact that what you've got is Netflix movies come and go. They absolutely come and go. Netflix has, even this summer, they're releasing one new movie a week for this summer. And those movies are, for the most part, going to come and go unless something out there significantly finds itself with a large audience, or is something that can easily do the word of mouth and people check it out. There's enough people who watch Netflix that are probably also just going to check it out on their own. But here's the thing. When you've got that kind of replayability, if it doesn't necessarily speak to you, then oftentimes you're not really going to go and find yourself rewatching it again, because scarcity isn't an issue. It's like, think about it like this. When back in the 90s and the 2000s, when you'd rent a movie, you'd have a movie for 2 days from Blockbuster, $3.99. You get a 2-day rental. So you watch it once on Friday night, you rent it Friday night, you have to have it back Sunday night by 6 p.m. So what do? You watch it on Friday night, you might watch it again on Saturday, you might watch it again on Sunday. Why? Because it is scarcity. There is a fear of missing out because you have a deadline before you have to return it. In Netflix, you don't have that problem, and they have so much on there, it's easy to get lost in the shuffle. In fact, the endless scrolling from Netflix is a real problem, which is why Netflix now added in the play something option. You can now just have it play something that, based upon your watch history, will look at your interests and it will pick something that might be best suited for you. All right. And yeah, Alvi here makes a great point. Word of mouth works wonders for movies, especially in theaters. And I say this because a lot of the time what happens is word of mouth will spur people's interest, because when you have word of mouth, you're hearing that from people who have seen it. And then again, it's in theaters right now. Everyone's talking about it. There is a fear of missing out. When you don't have that, fear of missing out, and it's kind of like watch it whenever, it's like, how many times has a friend of yours or whatever, family member, whatever, said, hey, have you seen this show on Netflix or this movie on Netflix or Disney Plus or whatever? And you're like, yeah, I'll get to it. And then like a month or two passes and they're like, did you watch it? And you're like, no, I forgot. Because there's no scarcity there. You're not up against a time clock. And if people aren't actively talking about it, then people aren't going to be pushing the conversation. This is why the pump and dump method from Netflix is, I think, ultimately going to be a large downfall of the service. I think the fact that, someone said in a comment yesterday, or maybe it was on Twitter to me, talking about that they don't like that the weekly releases are archaic and that they're the death of Netflix if they do weekly releases. I'm like, bitch, everything on TV is a weekly release and you're fine. Show me on the doll where Netflix touched you, sort of thing. Like, come on, man. That's such a hyperbolic, weak argument to make, because there is so much that has That here's the thing. Your issue isn't week to week releases. Your issue is moment to moment. Will they cancel this show? That is the issue. That is the issue. Will they cancel the show? It's more of a fear of being let down. You know, like your dad went out for cigarettes and never came back type of emotion. That is what a lot of it boils down to. There is a literal, in my opinion, PTSD that people have. People have PTSD, I think, when it comes to movies and televisions that don't set up sequels and don't get sequels because they have that ripped away. And I've talked about that quite often. And Netflix is in a position right now to where they can basically kind of cure all that shit by putting it out there in a release schedule that people can see, people can get accustomed to. They can build a following over that. Solid word of mouth happens, and then they can, you know, move on to the next thing. And again, let me talk about this one here. So go back to Stranger Things, right? You know, yeah, like here, Ryan Hartwell says it's great. He says here, if there's no due date, so to speak, then there's no urgency. Fantastic right there comment, Ryan. Ryan, thank you very much. This is essentially what it boils down to is when you've got a show, like let's say they dropped all of The Mandalorian at once, just like Netflix dropped all of Stranger Things season 3 2 years ago. Or was it? Yeah, it was 2 years ago. They dropped all of season 3, 4th of July weekend. I binged those 8 episodes. I was done. I did a review. I think I did another video talking a little bit about it, and that was about it. And no one I know since then, none of you have come to me and said, hey, did you see Stranger Things season 3? That was really good. Or I hated it or whatever. I haven't heard those comments in 2 years. No one's talked about it in 2 years because it came and it went. It was a good show. It's a good season. Good stuff there. I loved it. But it was done and it was over, and there's no urgency to go back. There's no urgency to stay up with it week to week, to converse about it with your friends, to get your tribe to discuss it. That is why Netflix has these problems. So tying it into studio releases is studio releases are still seen as something that is superior, even though they really aren't. Like, let's be fair. All right. Netflix produces better quality content than a lot of what made Warner Brothers such a large dominating force with the movie industry. Because Warner's would put out a couple films a month, you know, and they just, you know, some are good, some are bad, but they wouldn't really care as much. They just needed to fill a slot. Here, Netflix has to fill a slot, but they put the money in. Anyway, let's see. Min here says people who like to pump and dump fill that void of instant gratification. Yeah. Yep. Let's see. So I'm just saying that's what it is. And then also, yeah, Rational Skeptic here makes a great point, saying another problem is streaming services increasing their prices, and that is true. That is another factor there, 100%. The streaming services increasing their prices is going to start really kind of creating, I don't want to say like a monopoly or a duopoly, but you're going to get a hierarchy, and the hierarchy is going to be Netflix, Disney Plus, and then whoever the fuck is in third place. And it ain't going to be HBO Max, not for a while. So it's going to be like, Disney Plus is going to also include Hulu and ESPN. So you got to kind of lump those in there. Again, still going to be a pretty massive thing. Let's see here. Skywalker Brian says, I'm really honestly over the binge watching method, Matt, and what Disney is doing for weekly engages convo and keeps it entertaining on social media. Yeah, that's very true. But what I'm talking about here in regard, Casper, what I'm talking about is go and look at movies like Juwanna Mann that Warner Brothers put out in 2002. All right. Like, look at some of the movies they used to put out back in the day. They're pretty terrible. But because we see them in theaters, but because they go to the big screen, it ends up giving them an air of like, I don't know, like legitimacy that otherwise normally isn't really there. And so on Netflix, you get to see some really good movies that maybe fall under, that fall under fall in the cracks. And then you get some other ones that are pretty terrible. So there's that. I did want to, okay. Let's see here. Sorry, H Barts. I didn't mean to miss a super chat. He says here, would love to see you talk some Hammer films someday. I would need to go and watch the Hammer films again. Off the top of my head, it is, I have to go back and revisit them. So there is that. Rodney here saying, oh my God, he said Juwanna Mann. Hey man, puff smoky smoke, baby. Puff smoky smoke. Jess here with a great question. Who gets the bronze medal for the streaming service? We don't know yet. Probably Amazon, because Amazon is the one that is really front loading their content. And they're doing not only the Lord of the Rings show, the Wheel of Time series. There is a Fallout television show in development from Jonathan Nolan. There is a bunch of other stuff going on there. Again, it's going to be either high fantasy or gaming or science fiction or whatever. The Boys is massive. Invincible is massive. There's a lot of stuff over there. Seth Rogen is kind of, I think, going to end up doing a lot of work with Amazon, and that stuff is so far paying off really well for the things that he's involved in. So again, what I think it's going to be Netflix, Disney Plus, Amazon, and then right then and there, eventually you're looking at that's like 40, maybe $50 a month in a couple years. Just for those 3 streaming services where you get a lot of content. But are people out there going to want to pay another $10 to $15 for HBO Max? Because HBO Max now has the $10 version that doesn't allow you the premium movies. But the thing is, though, those films are on HBO Max a few months later anyway. And after this year, they're not going to keep doing it. So it doesn't really freaking matter at this point whether or not you get it. Again, it's all about that fear of missing out. I didn't watch Mortal Kombat. I still haven't watched Mortal Kombat yet. I haven't watched The Little Things. I didn't watch In the Heights or what, I when it comes to HBO Max, I just haven't turned it on in weeks. So I'm just not interested. I got to cancel it. I'm paying $15 a month right now for it. I'm just not using it. I like the service. There's a lot of things there, but nothing about it right now has captured my interest past watching the Snyder Cut, which guess what? That was 3 months ago. 3 months ago. And they're still in the state of transition, and HBO Max is going to end up I think it's going to kind of crash and burn. Jess here says that Amazon is backed by Storefront and other services. Yeah, 100%. And there's a reason why there's so much stuff here. Hold on. I know I need to watch it. Okay. Here's the thing. Tonight, I'm not going to be on for maybe more than another 20 minutes. Tonight's a very short stream. But I did get the Batman, The Long Halloween, part 1. And I want to check that out. So I might lay in bed and watch that because it's so hot. It's so hot. It's so uncomfortable in my office right now. So I do want to watch that one and then review it for tomorrow. I could watch, maybe I could find Mortal Kombat somewhere. I think I can buy it or rent it on YouTube, which is pretty funny. But I agree here though about Kaz. We're talking about Amazon with their UI being pretty bad, which is true. Their UI is really confusing and it doesn't really interest me. And Vince are making a great point saying it's hard to discover new stuff on Amazon. And the thing is, these companies, they would be best served to put up a creator fund and go and find fucking TikTokers or YouTubers who talk about movies and then work with them, or Instagram people. Go find the influencers and not the blue fucking check marks out of LA. Fuck those people. You know what I mean? They don't need any of this shit. They've already got their access, but they don't have influence. They don't have influence. As much as I hate to say it, probably their best bet would be to get people like fucking Nerderotic or Doomcock or Geeks and Gamers, the people who peddle anger on the internet because their fan base is the most probably engaged. As sad and disturbing as that is to admit out loud, it is very true. And there's money to be made from having clicks and views in a fan base. Those numbers don't really matter in a lot of aspects, but when you are coming at it from an advertiser perspective, yeah, they have some problem. They definitely have a little bit of sway on that. But these companies would be better pressed to work with the fans that actively promote the content. I mean, look, Zach, and I see Web Wizard, they're talking about, no one cares about the Snyder Cut anymore and whatever. The thing is, though, it's look, Zach did more to promote that for HBO Max. He did more to promote HBO Max than literally anything else on HBO Max. And they fucking dogged his ass, which is really interesting because he wanted people to see it and he wanted to support the fans who push for it. Look at Army of the Dead. Tons of podcasts with his, live stream guest appearances. Tons of interviews across the board. Did a whole bunch of stuff. Netflix supported him every step of the way. And as a result of that, 72 million households watched Army of the Dead in the first few days. And, so there's been a lot of talk about whether or not we're going to get a sequel, so on and so forth. because he kept the conversation going and he included his fan base. And from there, guess what? Positive word of mouth. Never mind a lot of like the anti-Snyder people pushing like the Snyder cult nonsense and everything else. So it's very interesting to see like how these whole situations play out, because these studios, they need to find a new marketing system, because people will always justify entertainment. They will always justify spending for entertainment, but they need to have that entertainment justified to their interests, And this is the problem with things like Disney Plus and Netflix and even Amazon, because they're trying to cater to so many different people, so many hundreds of millions of people. So they produce a ton of different content, and a lot of it probably ends up really going nowhere, or just never gets talked about. It might do well, but it never gets talked about because they don't release any of those streaming numbers, and they keep a lot of the information close to the chest. And so it becomes a bit of like a dark zone in regards to getting info on these properties that a lot of people who are like, let's say, blue check marks would be able to then jump on in order to make content about, to spread awareness of the property. It is a very weird system that needs to be utterly fixed from across the board. But Netflix, if they look at the Zack Snyder model, and I'm just talking about him as a person, not as his work. So calm down, wizard. But if they were to sit there and go, look, the Netflix Geek Week was a great idea because it was 2-hour streams every day, Monday to Friday. They released new content, new trailers. Yeah, it was cringe, right? It was, the pre-recorded stuff was definitely cringe, but they still did something that was short enough every day that people could get on it. And there was a lot of announcements. So they built it as this week-long event and people were happy for it. And it trended every day and people talked about it. And as a result, now more people are aware of stuff coming down the pipeline. They got to continue that momentum. They need like a brand ambassador to go out and like, preach the Netflix. I'll tell you this. When I was in LA, the last time I was really there was in, I went in 2019, but when I was there in 2018, like I'm cruising, taking an Uber to go meet a friend of mine on Sunset Boulevard. And, I'm cruising through and I see nothing but Netflix billboards all over LA, right? I'm just seeing tons of Netflix billboards, which means that they're pushing things for Emmy considerations and nominations and things like that. But LA and what is going to get traction in Los Angeles does not always translate to the rest of the world. And so now we are as connected as ever, but you still need someone to kind of be that ambassador, and they just don't do it. Anyway, no, Ryan, today I wasn't, I did not even get out to drive until nearly 8:00. It was a dead night. So there's that, I will go tomorrow, cause I do have to run an errand in the afternoon, and I don't think it's going to be as hot tomorrow. So it was so hot today, guys. So hot. I want to go get it. I appreciate it. I'm not dogging it. It's just, it is what it is. Rodney here asking the question, why haven't you gotten a Zack Snyder interview yet? Because I've never asked for one, right? I've never asked for it, Rodney. I've never sought it out, to be honest with you. I'm totally for it. I would love to talk to him about a litany of different subjects, and I'd even go on camera for it. I think it'd be a lot of fun to dive into it, but I'm also not actively seeking it. If I find myself in a position, I'm all for it. But I think that in regards to kind of after the Geeks and Gamers event, there are a lot of people who are still trying to get access to Zach, and the people who have access to Zach are keeping that very close to their chest, but they're doing that to protect him more than I think they're doing it for their own ego. I will be fair on that. I don't think that it's an ego thing, but I think after the Geeks and Gamers situation, Zach is like, he was put in a bad spot because people misinformed him and I think lied to him. I think, and I've said it before, I think Uche absolutely knew Geeks and Gamers was being associated was a bad call. He went as far as to remove hashtag Geeks and Gamers from his Twitter profile in the days leading up to the event. And then in the days following, after, he crawled back to them and they tore him a new asshole, he put it back. So he knew what he was doing. They all knew what they were doing. They all knew the score. It was a big mess. And a lot of them are full of shit. My take. But the way, but at the same time, it's like after that, Zach needs to, he needs to keep it where he can trust people. So that's kind of the way to look at it here. All right. Let's see here. H part says, click that Amazon affiliate link. I have one. I do have one. I have an Amazon affiliate link. Saggy here says, Jarbo smells. That is all. Goodbye. Thank you, Saggy. I appreciate you. I appreciate all that shit. All right. And so, yeah. Okay, let's take a look here. Jack here says, Saggy, don't forget Matt broke his plunger. I did break my plunger one night, yeah. Now I have a plastic one that won't break. Yeah, so it's funny you say this here, Brian, that you want to interview Kate Herron. And I think that'd be interesting to do. And part of the thing I see about Kate Herron is, I watched, because yesterday, I don't remember if it was during the stream or after the stream, RJ had recommended that I check out Grace Randolph's video about Black Widow early reactions and how she was talking about the, that it could be another Wonder Woman 84 situation. And I honestly haven't really read any of the reactions. I know that they were generally positive. She's under embargo, so she can't say anything about it. So I thought her video was definitely, I think Grace likes to kind of mislead people as much as anybody else at times. However, another part of it, though, that I found to be kind of fascinating was that Grace was talking about how, the female directors do better for like television than they do for movies, right? The movies are kind of felt as rushed or not as complete, but their television directing is really good. The writing, and she makes an interesting point about the showrunners having more time, right? Instead of having a 2-hour window to tell a story, beginning, middle, and end with some kind of emotional nuance or things like that. It is difficult. It is very difficult to get that right. But with having a 6 to 8 to 10 episode season or series, you have the ability to start to really expand upon these stories and expand upon these characters and give us some really interesting scenes. So, for example, looking at Loki, I compared the conversation Mobius and Loki had in episode 1 to something you might find on Netflix's Mindhunter. And I felt that the dialogue sequences were awesome. I felt that the dialogue sequences were great. And I just thought that really kind of heightened the intensity of the show. Whereas these dialogue scenes were also great for the character development and the interaction. And I really appreciate that. I actually really appreciate that more probably than some of the action. But that's because I'm a talker and I like people talking and I like stories that kind of take their time to get there. So maybe she has an interesting point on that one. Now, obviously, I don't know if she's alluding to something, and I'm definitely not alluding to anything. But it is interesting to kind of look at. Now, going back over to the whole situation with the with Black Widow, I'm wondering how many people out there are chomping at the bits, and you all know who I'm talking about, chomping at the bits to find anything they can to attack this movie for a couple different reasons. One, we're going to hear the same complaint of, well, like nobody asked for like a Black Widow prequel movie. True. But at the same time, don't watch it. Like, who cares? Like, you're not the company. The company's going to put up the money for people who want to watch it. Don't watch it. No one asked for this is kind of a lazy argument. And I've said it before too. And it's a lazy argument. It's just a lazy kind of gotcha that really goes nowhere. So feel free to call me out on that if you guys hear me say it, and you will, because I say it. I'm a hypocrite on that front, I'll fully admit, but I'm aware that I'm a hypocrite, which is the difference. And so there's that. There's the potential negativity. And Grace is predicting that there's going to be a fair amount of it due to some kind of retconning or just changing of the source material. But let me kind of break this down though. A lot of people out there who watch these movies, they don't read the comics. All right. They don't really read the comics. They might have a general idea or a general overview of the comic, but they don't actively read the comic. And they're not going to, and they're more interested in most likely Scarlett Johansson's portrayal of Natasha Romanoff versus what her comic version of that character is. So I don't really think that's going to have a lot of issues unless it starts to really mess with like the fundamentals of the MCU timeline, which if they retcon the timeline kind of stuff in a non like Doctor Strange multiverse of madness kind of way, that could be problematic. But I don't know what these secrets are yet. I haven't read them. I'm not looking to seek them out. We have a couple weeks till the film comes out. I am sure things are going to get spoiled, unfortunately. But at the same time, I'm not, I'm not actively pursuing this in order to ruin it for myself. Real quick here, H. Bartz says Jarbo Jacuzzi Hour. I could go for that. Yeah. Thanks for coming in, Jack. Have yourself a great night, man. Thank you. Yeah, Ash, we actually talked about the Sam Cedar, Crowder situation at the beginning of the episode. It was hysterical. It's very funny. And, I'm looking forward to seeing how Crowder tries to spin it tomorrow, which is going to be pretty bad. So yeah, I think we're gonna, I'm just kind of curious about what Grace Randolph is saying and where it's going to go. And we're going to have to wait and see. At this point, literally anything could happen. And I don't know when the embargo lifts, but I'm sure it's soon. And we'll have to wait and see if the movie lives up to the hype. And that also then raises the question, is there hype for Black Widow? Because it's been so long. If Loki somehow ties into Black Widow, or there's somehow kind of a reference, which would be smart for them to do, then I think the hype levels are going to increase, because then it becomes must-watch television. And when it becomes much-watch television, what you're looking at for Black Widow, they're already estimating like a $90 million opening weekend because of the loyalty that Marvel movies have with their fan base. Also, it's going to be available on Disney Plus for $30 for the premiere access. I'm going to go see it in theaters. But then I might also, if I really want to watch it again, I may just opt to get my hands on the premium access copy of it so I can rewatch it multiple times. It all depends on how I feel about it. Like if Avengers Endgame would have gone to theaters as well as done the $30 pass, I probably would have dropped the $30 to watch Endgame again a lot, because that would have been worth it in my opinion. So we'll have to wait and see how this whole thing plays out on that one. I don't know yet where it's going to go. Yeah. Ash, I understand you just turned in. I know it's going to be crazy to see what happens with that whole Crowder thing tomorrow. It was a mess. I actually made a very, interesting, well, I don't know if I'd call it interesting, but I made a point on Twitter tonight that really no one got. And maybe you guys will get it. For those of you who are curious about the whole situation with Steven Crowder. Let me just bring this image up here. Real quick here. H. Bart's $2 asking the hard question. What do I think of young Ripa? I don't know what a young Ripa is. I mean, I've heard the name. But I literally have no idea who the guy is. I really just don't. I'm sorry. I feel like I should know that. But I don't care. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that one. Anyway, so this is what I put on Twitter today. I said, it's funny that Brain ran away from Hugo the health inspector. Now, this is in reference to the whole Steven Crowder, Sam Cedar debate, because people out there who know who Steven Crowder is know that he's only 33. And I could have sworn he's in his 40s. He just looks that way. But he used to voice the Brain on Arthur on PBS, I think like seasons 5 and 6. And Sam Cedar voices Hugo the health inspector in Bob's Burgers, and has been, I don't want to say a mainstay in the show, but he's been a reoccurring character since the very first episode back in 2011. And Hugo has gone through a hell of a ride with the family after all these years. So that was the joke I put out there, because they both done voice acting in animated shows. It's definitely a deep thing. And a lot of people out there, like, they don't get it, but that's okay. Yeah, Ryan, that was him. It was him. So yeah, I'll have to wait and see on that one. Dark B says here, it's probably, I put up another freaking Discord link last night. So it should be, I don't know what the hell's going on, man. I'm sorry. Now, what I want to kind of talk about here, I guess you could say finally, because I'm starting to sweat like crazy, is this particular, okay. So this might get me in a little bit of trouble, and I'm kind of okay with that. But there's been this ongoing kind of like argument, and I got into it today on Twitter about whether or not the film LUCA is a film that is all about LGBT representation, right? That it's a queer baiting movie, and that it's one where Luca and Alberto are, clearly like they have feelings, romantic feelings for one another. And I'm saying that it doesn't, because it doesn't. If you watch the movie, if you literally pay attention to the film, it's a coming of age story about two boys, one of whom, and this is a bit of a spoiler, so I'm sorry, but one of whom is overprotected from his parents, and the other one is abandoned by his parents, and they find each other and they become friends, and they become, very close, and they develop what we would call a bromance, but that's about it. And then what people are really kind of, pointing to is a particular scene where they get into a fight, and there's jealousy involved. And I've seen people try to argue, well, no, that is the relationship. That is the romance. And it's like, no, that is the fear of abandonment. That is the fear of abandonment. And this is what I don't get about this argument here. This is what I don't get about the people that are trying to run this narrative, because it's so easily debunked by actually watching the movie and literally just listening to the dialogue and paying attention. There was a guy today when I commented on this on Twitter who literally just said, well, have you watched the movie? And I took a screenshot. I took a picture. I was watching it right then with my kids. I've seen LUCA now 7 times, at least 7 times since Friday. I've seen LUCA that many times, and I'll probably end up watching it again tomorrow morning when I get up with my kids, because they're going to want to watch it, and I'll watch it because I like it. So yes, I've been watching the movie. I've been paying attention to the story and what's being said, but this kind of stuff is absolutely just insane to me. Like Alvi says here, it's a bromance. I've never wrestled with my friend shirtless on a bed. I was never gay. I've literally wrestled my friends on there. It's just a bromance. It's that. So anyway, like this is like, BuzzFeed, like, oh, let's try to make this here, these tweets, right? This says here, ever since the trailer was released, members of the LGBTQ community have said that they felt the story was queer coded. It's not. You're literally inventing things. This guy here says, just saw LUCA and cried. Can you even imagine growing up with a movie like that? Yeah, about two friends who find each other both from different parts of the of their respective world, who become buddy, who have a very simplistic goal in life to just acquire a Vespa, and that's it, to go and experience the world together, kind of like Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn, go on adventures. I mean, that is you legitimately trying to project your own self onto these characters. And that is where I mean, and I understand that, like Luke's, Mark Hamill said, if you feel Luke Skywalker is gay, then Luke Skywalker is gay to you. And I know this is shipping, and I've talked about shipping, but we talked about this last week with Anthony Mackie when he was bringing up the whole concept of the exploitation of homosexuality. And he's right to call that out, because the shipping that comes out of this kind of stuff now, people make their headcanon and they demand that it be legitimized. This isn't like demanding that they, fix a bad part of a movie. This is them demanding that they cater to this kind of stuff, which is not, whatever here. What do you got here? I don't know what this is. People are saying it's 100% a gay movie. Okay. I don't care. So someone says here, I don't care what the director of the movie said it wasn't. This is how I feel. Well, yeah, because the director of the movie says no. It's a story that is based around his childhood in Geneva and about his childhood with his friends. And people are just, they go, I don't care what the director says. See, again, I don't care what the intent of the artist was. My feelings matter. My feelings matter more. And I just find that to be such, again, the entitlement that comes out of this. Again, this one here says, yes, I love LUCA. Yes, I cried. Yes, it is very gay. How is it gay? Right? Nothing here is explanatory. Nothing here is expository. Nothing here brings up a lot of it, right? It's just people who would just, what it is, they just want to believe that that's the case. that two friends right there embracing each other is gay. It's not romantic. They're kids, dude. Like male bonding is a real thing. It's a non homosexual or homoerotic thing. It's not, it's well documented. It's well known. And I'm not going to go and like pull it. People might argue, but Matt, you're being a conservative. No, this is a fucking kids movie. It's a fucking kids movie about two friends that find each other from different parts in their life. And it's like, they just want to compare it to it because they feel at this point, that's going to be, that's how they have to explain it. I know this guy here says Luca's unapologetically gay subtext is evident, and I absolutely adored it. Again, no explanations. All right. No one, so, it says here, I'm just sitting here after watching LUCA, unable to stop thinking about, sorry. I don't know why I shot me to the top there. Find that again. Okay. Unable to stop thinking about how it was a metaphor for being gay. Not everyone is going to accept him, but he seems good at finding those who will. Loved it. Because it's a Pixar movie and not a dumb sequel. But here's the thing with that, though. The movie is about acceptance. It is about acceptance, but it's not inherent. It's not gay. It's just acceptance for who you are, right? It's acceptance for like when people find out that they're sea monsters, guess what? They don't care. They don't care. No one freaks out and tries to kill them. They all just accept it. Like, oh, okay, cool. Because that's the society that we want to live in. And it's just them trying, again, there's no coded message there. It's like everyone is different and finding acceptance is what we all want. We all want to be part of the tribe. That is what we all seek. That is the validation that we all seek. And all of these posts here, in my opinion, are quite frankly people that are just trying to find validation within their own tribe by misassociating, misappropriating, and even outright denying the intent of the creator. And that is the most fascinating thing to me. It's the entitlement that comes from this. That's the whole thing. So anyway, real quick here, H. Bart's does ask the question. Steven Crowder is a secret gay man or a transgender woman? I personally think we're going to find out that he's probably bisexual, maybe pan down the road. I don't think he's 100% on the straight scale. I think he tries too hard. I think at this point, if anyone tries too hard like that, you're posturing, which means you're hiding something. Or he could be a transgender woman. Either way, I'm more happy. I'd rather him be out and be proud and be complete. But someone like him is so scared of his own shadow that he's just not going to do it. All right. So, and then also another one here says, H. Bart's here comes out and says, people thought I was gay because I used to be close to my old friend and saw him as a brother. Well, yeah, I got the same thing with my best friend growing up. We were like inseparable, and then also one year I asked for Madonna's Immaculate Collection on CD for Christmas because fuck you. I like Madonna and I do like Madonna and that's a great album and I have no shame for that. But my stepdad guaranteed thought that I was probably gay because I'm asking for a Madonna album. And the year before I asked for Queen. That's not a gay thing. I just really fucking love Queen, so it's again, even if I was gay, it doesn't matter. But no, people would think that because that's how they associate. And the people now, if you would sit there and go, but just because two men are hanging out, isn't that kind of a bigoted mindset? Because it is a bigoted mindset. If you're judging them in that particular situation, yeah, it's bigoted. But if you are now coming at it from the alternate perspective and you're like, no, this movie is clearly, a gay icon, a queer coded movie, you're kind of coming at it from it's a horseshoe theory. It's the same exact, but on the other side. You're judging something in a way that is not what the intent is, and you don't care. You're still judging it. And that's my big issue with this. I know Ryan here says, who doesn't love Queen? I know. Hold on here. Okay. Yeah, it's a kid's movie, but so was every other Disney film that used queer coding since Snow White. Well, I don't know. Wait, I mean, I always took the dwarves that they were brothers, not that they were gay. I mean, how would that even work? There's like 7 of them. Someone is going to be the odd Thomas. Someone is going to be the caboose in that train. I always saw them as brothers or relatives. I don't understand the are you referring to the seven dwarves as being queer coded? Because again, like that is a very long stretch. But I'd love to hear your explanation on that. Ryan here then saying, who doesn't love Queen? I know. I'm not a monster. Geeks here says, I'm a big Madonna and Queen fan. Damn straight, dude. Even today, like the junk man was like, who's Kylie Minogue? And I'm like, one of the greatest entertainers to come out of Australia. Like, where the fuck have you been? I catch crap all the time because I'm like, I like pop music, right? I really like pop music. I've gone to pop shows. The best concert I've ever been to was the first stop on the Spice Girls reunion tour in December of 2007. I absolutely phenomenally loved that experience. That was amazing for me. I've been a Spice Girls fan since I was 15. And so, you know what, when I was 27, I was 25 and they came out and they had a reunion tour and I got to go see them and I would do it again in a heartbeat. So yeah, I'm not gay, but I like, you know, like it's just that whole thing of like people who over put on there. That's more about them than it is about you, to be fair. And it's them absolutely trying to, you know, push their own agenda. Now, Skywalker Briner says, the headcanon does feel like it's becoming too much. It's like, for example, when people thought Woody and Buzz were a gay couple, but come on, they're just toys. Well, that's also like, who would say that they're, it's clearly established that Woody was into Bo. I mean, so much so that like at the end of the first movie, she's like making out with him and giving him all the kisses. And those are only the lipstick stains we could see. At the end of Toy Story 2, when we meet Jessie, the diametric opposite to Buzz, when Jessie rides the toy car through the loop-the-loop in order to let Buster out, Buzz's wings fire out like he's got a boner. And they have a relationship even through Toy Story 3 and Toy Story 4. So again, it's not like people, they're searching for things that simply don't exist. But they're doing it. And I understand representation and I get why there needs to be representation, because otherwise things like this start to happen. So that is why this is a clear example of why more representation needs to happen. And that is a problem with Hollywood. 100% a problem with Hollywood. And that has a lot to do with China and Russia and Iran and the Middle East and Saudi Arabia and other countries where it is illegal to be homosexual. But what we have is people in this country exploit that because they don't feel they're getting enough representation. But I don't think what they realize is that we are again in a world where you can literally go and create anything you want. You have vast amounts of knowledge, the entire knowledge of human history at your fingertips. And instead of learning and creating and building, you're on Twitter going like, I cried at LUCA because it's a gay kids movie. Like, it's not. I'm glad you cried. It's a very sweet story. But if that's the kind of story you want, go watch Call Me by My Name, because that is that kind of story. If you're putting it onto a kid's film, that's like the infantilization of the mindset. I'm sorry, this is probably me, one of my most conservative takes, I guess. But like, again, I'm a liberal who like doesn't like leftists as already. Anyway, Tracking to the West is Spice Up Your Life. Goddamn right. Goddamn right. Let's see here. The dwarves were mine workers living in a dorm. Yeah, sure. I mean, that's a way. Right. I mean, I'm just kind of waiting to see like hold on. H Bart says, I asked for an easy bake oven. I love food. Damn straight, dude. Making those cookies in an easy bake oven is the shit. I love that kind of stuff. Right. So, the evil queen. Wait, the evil queen was the queer coding. Come on, man. That is a stretch. That's a very large stretch. Very large stretch. Let's see here. Is Ben Shapiro gay or Abby? I don't know. I don't think Ben Shapiro is gay. I can't, I find it so weird that Abby is as attractive as she is. And then it's like, I like TradCon looking wives. I just like the look, you know, not their politics, but I like the look. And then you look at her and then you're like, there's Ben. And you're like, that's just, I can't, it creeps me out too much. Okay, due to the Hays Code, Disney used to use queer coding for its villains, so they played into the stereotypes and felt like the other, and felt like an even more dangerous threat to innocence. Oh, okay. Now, see, that you could have led with. That's interesting. That's worth looking into. That's very interesting. So that's fast. I didn't know any of that. Thank you, Hank. Let's see here. So Buzz and Jesse equals Space Cowboy. Yes. Music Manager says, I've heard a few Spice Girls songs. They're not that bad. It's like it's mid 90s British pop, you know? That's what it was. It was this mid 90s British pop. Anyway, so all right, guys, I am so freaking sweaty. I know you didn't want to hear it, but it is bad. It is bad right now. All right, so I think I'm just gonna kind of wrap it up a little bit. I do appreciate everyone coming on in. Tomorrow night I will hopefully be up a little earlier. And everything else that's going on with this. I'm gonna reset my modem beforehand. I don't know what the hell. It's, again, my computer was acting up all day today. Everything else is going on nuts. But I appreciate everyone. Anthony, for becoming a new member. I'll put his name on this list here. Tomorrow we'll have a new member on there. Great stuff. And as always, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate everyone for coming in and hanging out. And I look forward to chit-chatting with you guys tomorrow night. Have yourself a great one, and I'll see you.